Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. It is 5:47 a.m. East Coast time, Monday, the best day of the week, September 2nd. Hopefully the start to your week and the start to your month is off to a good start. So we have an MLB 8-game slate starting in the afternoon today. I'm going to get this video up in the midst of all the crazy NFL stuff that is coming out right now in terms of the season starting. 3 videos already out. Going to have another 1 to 2 videos out today. That's the plan for the NFL season. To have DFS related content, to have just overall breaking news on players, takes like the LaShawn McCoy news, Zeke's news coming out now that he's going to probably be signing by the weekend. All that and more is going to be coming out on this channel. But if you're here for an MLB video, they're here. And I have them still, Patreon, stat sheets. There's going to be during the week podcasts on Patreon as well, covering majority of the slates, not on the weekends anymore due to the NFL. But yes, that is all linked down below. My NFL Daily Fantasy course is going to be $50 off, 33% off if you take it that way, until Monday, the end of the week 1 regular season for NFL. So yeah. Excited. I have right now 4 interests, potentially 5 that I'm going to talk about at the pitching end out of these 16 pitchers on this 8-game. Very interesting. It's an afternoon slate for the holiday, of course, if you haven't picked up on that yet, but an 8-game afternoon slate on a Monday, which is very rare, again, for the holiday. So I'm going to go through this. Again, baseball videos are going to come out less and less frequently with the NFL taking full charge. But on a Monday when there's no WNBA, when I got a couple videos out of the way, feel pretty good about this small mid slate for the holiday slate. Why not cover it? So let's get right into it. Before we do, hit the subscribe button. We're less than 100 subscribers away from 7,000. The goal was on today, Monday, to get to 7,000. So I think we actually might hit that with some of the NFL stuff coming out. So I appreciate it. Down below, there's some free strategy guides for DFS, and then there's some other things you can check out in terms of my DFS course, my Patreon exclusive podcast for the MLB, and including my stat sheets like this one. So let's get into it. So my first interest, I'm kind of skipping the whole 10K range, at least right now. Jake Odorizzi, his run total today against Detroit is good, but there's still like 3 to 4 teams with a lower implied run total. Baltimore has like a 3.1. The Detroit Tigers have a 4 today, and also 10-5 for Jake Odorizzi, although it makes sense due to his matchup, due to the fact that he's a quality pitcher, strikes out 27% of lefties. He only strikes out 23.8% of righties. Now that strikeout percentage has come up mightily, and it actually reigns supreme as the highest on the slate. But for 10-5, it's nothing that I'm going to be jumping up and down for a 23.8% strikeout rate against righties when he's going to be facing predominantly right-handed hitting in this Detroit lineup. Again, the Detroit lineup is just absolutely terrible against righties. They strike out 27.9% of the time, most in the league, 25.9% overall in the entire season. They only have a 153 ISO, which on this slate would rank as the worst. So, I mean, Jake Odorizzi has the best matchup on the slate. His stuff is good enough to get, obviously, by against this team and more. It's just, do I want to pay 10-5 for this type of pitcher where probably the upside in his fantasy points is somewhere in the mid-20s today in terms of like his ceiling? I don't think Odorizzi has a 30-point ceiling in him, just mainly due to the fact that he doesn't go deep enough into the games. Now, this game would help him, or this team would help him go deeper into the games, but he does walk 8.6% of batters, which is one of the top ones on the slate. He does have a 42.3% hard hit percentage, which is third highest on the slate, only gets 34.3% ground balls, third lowest on the slate. So obviously the matchup is going to help a lot of those numbers out, but 10-5 for Odorizzi is just a little bit too much for me. Noah Syndergaard, I kind of gloss over quickly as Washington has a decent implied run total today. They will be playing in Citi Field, which is going to be, I believe, in Citi Field today, which is going to be making it, and actually I want to look at this to make sure they are playing in Citi Field now that I'm actually looking at this. They are playing versus New York. So they're playing in Citi Field. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so they're playing, they're playing in Washington versus New York. Okay, so they're playing in Washington, which is going to make it even worse, actually, for Noah Syndergaard in terms of overall damage, and also, honestly, really, really bad for Joe Ross against the Mets in Washington in the afternoon. The ball's going to fly. But pretty much getting to the guys that I have interest in, starting with Mike Soroka, $9,200. Very quality pitcher. Toronto is implied for like 3.6 or 3.7 runs tonight. Or this afternoon. That's very, very low for an afternoon game in Toronto. So you're going to get a 53.3% ground ball rate, second best on the slate, pretty much the best on the slate if we filter out Justice Sheffield's very small sample size. You get a 23.4% fly ball rate, the best on the slate for Soroka. I mean, the only downsides for Soroka is that he doesn't strike guys out, which is clearly a huge downside on DraftKings scoring. Strikes out 13.6% of lefties. That's not great, but the good news for him is Toronto pretty much has no lefties left. I mean, Justin Smoke will bat from both sides of the plate as a switch hitter, but they shipped out Eric Sogard, they shipped out Freddie Galvis, who batted from both sides of the plate. They don't have much lefties in this lineup, so I'm not too concerned about the no strikeout stuff against lefties. And then when you factor in his strikeout stuff against righties, 23.2% is pretty close to average, if not right around average for this point in the season. So you're getting an average strikeout pitcher who's going to get a matchup that is going to favor his strikeout stuff, and he gives up a 110 ISO to lefties. Again, not many in this lineup, but that's still very good for the 1 to 2 that he might face based on the switch hitters. And then an 0.51 ISO to righties. No power. That's by far the lowest in the slate, one of the lowest in the leagues. No power to righties, 0.49 home runs per nine. You're getting no damage really given up here against a team that has a low implied run total for the pitcher that has a 6.13 innings pitched per start, third best on the slate, but he's priced as the fifth highest or fifth most expensive pitcher. I think you're getting value here. I know Toronto against righties has been killing it, the best on the slate since middle of June, 229 ISO, but they are striking out as well, 24% of the time. So I think Soroka as an SP1 at 9,200 is probably where I start to look. Now Ryan Yarbrough, I know he's 9,400. Baltimore has a 3.1 implied total, very low against him, but I prefer for $200 less Mike Soroka. I know the run total is a little bit higher for Toronto, but not enough to make me worry. And then you're getting Soroka for probably like an extra 1 to 1 1/3 innings on average. In this matchup, you're getting Soroka based on the matchup, probably having a similar, if not better, strikeout upside just in terms of facing Toronto. I know Yarbrough is going to face Baltimore, and against lefties, Baltimore struggles, but overall, Yarbrough's strikeout stuff for this lineup is going to be coming in around 21.5% that he's going to be facing today, where Soroka's probably comes in closer to 23. My second interest is Anthony Desclafani at 8,500. Philly actually has a low implied run total, open at 4.6 or low-ish for a September afternoon game. So open at 4.6, it's down to 4.5, I believe. He has a 4.33 Sierra, which is one of the better ones, top 6 on the slate, and the strikeout stuff is there. 21.4 against lefties, not great, but 27.1 against righties. It's top 3 on the slate. So strikeout stuff's there, 24.2 overall. It doesn't give up power to lefties or righties, a 137 ISO. Desclafani's issues this year have been home runs and mainly to lefties. Well, he's going to face Bryce Harper today, which is very, very scary in this lineup. Still no Jay Bruce in that lineup. For the most part, it's going to be Bryce Harper, maybe an Adam Hazley at the bottom of the lineup. But there's not too much to be worried about in terms of true lefty power in this Philly lineup. Bryce Harper seems like a great one-off option since he's not striking out as many lefties, and again, does give up a ton of power, 256 ISO to them. But after that, this Philly team has not been good since the middle of June, or at least they've been below average. A 177 ISO against righties is right around average to below average, probably ranks about 16th, 17th in the entire league. And then they strike out 22.9% of the time. It's around 23% of the time is around average. So I think this matchup is fine for him. It's just a matter of, do you really want to pay $8,500 for Desclafani when we're about to talk about two pitchers who are cheaper than him by a decent margin, one of them, and an okay margin, the second one, in potentially good or better matchups. So Masahiro Tanaka against the Rangers. He's a 200 favorite today. I really don't like getting to Tanaka because the guy just gives up so much power. I mean, to lefties, a 229 ISO, to righties, 156. He's limiting the damage now to righties, but so much power to lefties. His home runs per nine has come down, though, since the All-Star break steadily, which is good for the Yankees' playoff hopes in terms of having Tanaka right for that. The matchup here against Texas is just fantastic, though. They strike out so much. 26.8% of the time versus righties is top 3 in the league. It's number 2 in the slate, only behind Detroit. And they have not that much power. 166 ISO against righties is one of the lowest ones on the slate. It's actually tied for the second lowest. So this Texas team, once a powerful team for the past couple of years, this year is just absolute nothing. 5.81 innings pitched per start for Tanaka is very good. That's top 5 on the slate. So you're getting this Tanaka at 8,100, who honestly, I think you can even go to Tanaka as your SP1 today. He's always dangerous in terms of lefties. Going up against them, if they have any sort of power, they're going to be a home run threat to him. He gives up a 39.7% hard hit percentage, but he gets a lot of ground balls, 48.3, only a 5.7% walk percentage. I like Tanaka. He's my third interest. So far, Soroka, Desclafani, and Tanaka. My fourth interest, and these three guys are right next to each other in price, Desclafani, Tanaka, and then Adam Wainwright. Adam Wainwright against the Giants today. The Giants have a below 4 implied run total. I believe, and I don't know, I want to make sure all this stuff is pulling over properly. I believe the Giants are facing... So they are versus San Francisco, so they're actually at home, so they're not in San Francisco, so it's at St. Louis. Okay, that's good to know. So it's not in San Fran, which is going to hurt a little bit for Adam Wainwright, but he's been okay, probably okay to bad since returning from his injury a few months back. So 9.6% walk percentage, not great, but then you get into some good things after the 42.9% hard hit percentage, not great. But you get a 49.7% ground ball rate. That ground ball rate is the second best on the slate if you factor out Justice Sheffield's small sample. And you get his fly ball rate being the second best, only behind Mike Soroka. So you're getting some things here that you like to see, right? Some things that are going to lead to future success if they sustain. You get a 23.9% strikeout rate against righties. The San Fran lineup will be, 6 to 7 righties. You'll have your Yastrzemski from the left side of the plate. You'll have... Belt from the left side of the plate, and then he strikes out from the left side of the plate only 19.4%. So you're really hoping for the right-handed heavy lineup, which you usually do get, and he gives up no power to righties, 133 ISO compared to a 233 ISO to lefties. So again, there's huge major splits here that are downsides, but he's going to be facing a predominantly righty lineup, 6 to 7 most likely. You get a very average, exactly average team against righties is this San Francisco team at 180. And then they strike out 22.3% of the time. So what you're getting here is a very similar matchup to Anthony Desclafani, in my opinion, against that he has against Philly in the San Francisco team, believe it or not, since the middle of June at least. And you're just getting it for like $900 cheaper in Adam Wainwright. Now you're getting a much worse strikeout pitcher, 23.9% compared to 27.1% against righties, 21.6% overall compared to 24.2% overall for Desclafani. You're getting it worse there. You're getting it a little bit worse there, but you're getting a guy who goes about a third deeper into the games. And again, the price point is lower. So, those are my four main interests: Soroka, Anthony Desclafani, Tanaka, and Wainwright. And then a guy that I'll just throw out there, which I don't really think I want to get to, is Tyler Beede, 5,800 if you do want a cheap pitcher. He's the only one who's viable, in my opinion, below $7,000. There's a bunch of other pitchers in very bad spots. Joe Ross pitching in Washington today against the Mets, a guy who has just been absolutely terrible. 5.33 Sierra is the highest on the slate. You can't get there, in my opinion. Wojciechowski against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has a high implied run total. Don't want that. Minnesota against Jordan Zimmerman. I want all the Minnesota in the world today. Same thing for Cincinnati against Drew Smyly. So Tyler Beede, if you're going to get anywhere down here for cheap, just punting at pitcher pretty much, it's going to be him. He has strikeout stuff, 24.4% against St. Louis today, where they will be predominantly righty. You'll have Dexter Fowler. You'll have Matt Carpenter as true lefties in this lineup. They do have upside. The only bad thing about Tyler Beede is, there's a lot of bad things. He gives up a 1.95 home run per 9, almost a 5 Sierra. You're basically playing him because he's the best cheap option and he has strikeout stuff. The matchup against St. Louis, it's going to seem favorable in terms of their low Sierra, but it has not yet rebounded from getting all their guys back over the past about month or so. So since June 15th, if we were to look at this data since July 15th instead, it would be showing St. Louis as a much more powerful team, which is more true of a painted picture of what they are. So right now my interest is Soroka, Desclafani, Tanaka, Wainwright, and Beede. You can just see that my pulls for my lefties just absolutely went out. So all we have to do for that is just go here, but pretty much that is it for right now. I'm going to be releasing this video immediately, and then I'll release a video later today in terms of my picks for the NFL Week 1, my initial picks. We'll do a final thoughts on Friday. My Patreon podcast will be up later today, and that should update. There we go. Patreon podcast should be up later today. I'll have this sheet on there pretty much immediately. So hopefully this helps. Hit the subscribe button before you leave. Follow me on Twitter at SalVetriDFS. Appreciate you tuning in. My name's Sal. You already know that. Peace out, gang.
Hey, hold up. 1 second. Check out this page. If you haven't yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button, all right? And if you're interested in Patreon, if you're not already a Patreon, you can hit that button on Patreon, become a Patreon, it will take you right there. You can also check me out on Twitter at SalVetriDFS. And hey, if you're interested, this next video that's about to pop up, why don't you check it out as well. See ya.